Welcome. We're at the Ross A. Lurgio Middle School Library for another installment of Author Stalker Live, brought to you by Kate Schoedinger, Reading Specialist here at Ross A. Lurgio, also known as Literacy Coach, but my favorite title is being an Author Stalker. You've met Wendelin von Dronnen when she was here in Bedford, and today we have science teacher extraordinaire, picture book author Rob Dubreuil. He's a 7th grade teacher here at Lurgio, making my author stalking ever so simple right in my backyard. And he'll be here with us today to answer some questions about Daniel and the harmonica. He'll be telling us about his picture book, the writing process involved with that, the publication of Daniel and the harmonica, and if we're really lucky, maybe we can get him to do a little reading, and if we're extra lucky, maybe we can get him to play the harmonica. So join me here meeting Rob Dubreuil. Today we're here at the Ross A. Lurgio Middle School Library with author Rob Dubreuil, 7th grade science teacher, and we're so glad that he's here to celebrate the publication of his children's book, Daniel and the Harmonica. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're so thrilled and
Same
so
here.
proud of your accomplishments.
Thank you.
It is wonderful to be here talking with you about Daniel and the harmonica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and allowing me to share some of the story and aspects of it. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot to share. Let's get started. Could you tell us first about the story, Daniel and the harmonica?
Yeah. The story centers on an 8-year-old boy named Daniel, and he receives a harmonica as a gift for his birthday from his grandfather. And his grandfather explains to him that there's some magical aspects and qualities of the harmonica. When you learn to play it, he says, this is quoting from the book, something amazing might happen. And that sort of starts the story as far as what will happen with Daniel. He experiences a little bit of a magical moment in the park with some strangers, and illustrating sort of what can happen when people come together with music. So.
It's wonderful. Is there a Daniel in your life or a harmonica in your life?
Daniel is a totally fictional character. I wish I could say it was based on someone that I know or myself, but it's not. It's just a character that I came up with. Yeah, I play harmonica. I played for quite a while since I was young. I received one as a gift, I think when I was 13 or so, and it wasn't from my grandfather. It was from a friend. I think it was like meant to be a joke or something, but I took it up as a hobby of mine, and have played ever since. And it's been something I've always done here and there. I, wouldn't play for a couple of weeks. I'd play, frequently, or put it down for a couple of months. But it was always something that I did do and enjoy. And when I decided to start trying to write some of these ideas I had in my head, I thought, why not try and write a story that's centered around what I know, a harmonica. So.
All right, well, let's talk about the writing a little bit here. What came first, the harmonica or Daniel? Yeah,
well, playing the harmonica, like I said, I played for a while, and again, when it came, I want to say about 8 or 9 years ago, I sort of made this like almost New Year's resolution, like, if you will, to say that I was going to try and put some effort into trying to write stories and trying to get them published. I asked myself, like, the first sort of starting point question when you try and write is, what do I know? Write what you know. And I thought of the variety of things, I guess, maybe I thought I felt comfortable with knowing. The harmonica was one, and I thought it would be kind of an interesting idea to try and write a children's book, again, with the harmonica as sort of the center point. So I guess the harmonica came first, and then the idea to write something about the harmonica came next. So.
And then how long did it take you to write the story?
Well, I would say that coming up with ideas, I really didn't know what beyond, a harmonica story. Beyond that, I wasn't sure what to do. But, you just sort of brainstorm and try and come up with ideas of things to do. I kind of knew, I did know, I wanted it to be a children's book, a picture book. And so I thought, focus on a young boy, a young girl. I decided on a boy. The name Daniel was just a name as a place filler. I thought I would change the name later, but I liked it when the story was all done. But I worked on this idea of trying to come up with some story about some sort of magical quality, if you will, about the harmonica that would ultimately, in the end, as the story was written and I finished it, I thought it would be a great way to sort of inspire kids to, after they read the story, take up the instrument itself. So the two go hand in hand, the story, and then hopefully, you know, the musical interest comes next.
Well, that came out so clearly in the book. It's so neat how you've got the text of your book, and then it's infused with the musical part of it, and then you have almost a complete book, a nonfiction account at the end of the book about the harmonica, and you provide lessons and instructions for that. So you really started off with this whole picture book and nonfiction part to blend together?
Actually, the idea of including sort of instructions on how to play kind of came after the fact, after the story was done. I thought it would be more of a story to inspire kids. Only after the fact did I think, wow, I guess I should include some aspect of harmonica instruction, you know, to aid somebody along in playing, and not just sort of leave them hanging and saying, oh, it's a neat story, but you know, there's nothing to follow up with someone's new interest in trying to play the harmonica. But you're right, the whole story, throughout the story, there are several songs that are mentioned, 10 songs throughout, that are kind of like traditional folk songs that are perfect to play on the harmonica. Oh, Susanna, My Darling Clementine, songs, you know, that maybe we all remember singing growing up, and so those are the songs that are mentioned throughout that Daniel plays either by himself or with people in the sort of the main scene in the park. And in the back there's a short little description of how to play the harmonica and description of the harmonica itself. And then throughout the final pages of the book there is what's called harmonica tablature, which is sort of an easy way to play a musical instrument. You don't have to learn the musical notes, but it's a numbering system where you can learn to find the numbers of the harmonica holes and blow or inhale there, and you can, you know, easily pick up all the songs mentioned throughout. So yeah, like you said, students I say, I'm so very used to saying students. Anyone reading the story can, you know, again, buy a harmonica. The book doesn't come with a harmonica. My editor and publisher, we did discuss that, but it became something that just didn't seem to be very feasible. But go out and get a fairly inexpensive harmonica after you get the book, and I'd say within minutes be playing most of the songs that Daniel plays.
All right, I have to put on my Author Stalker hat here. Okay, so you've mentioned your editor and publisher, so I want to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also want to find out about your full-time science teacher extraordinaire here in our 7th grade, and a family man, and many hobbies. So when do you write, and how do you write, and how do you, what's your writing world like?
Well, unfortunately, I have a full-time job that definitely occupies my time. My wife and 3 kids, they come first, and I feel like I write whenever the heck I can. It seems like, you know, 11:30 at night on a Friday, sometimes Sunday morning. As far as this sort of routine or a schedule of, oh, I try and write a half an hour or an hour every day, that just doesn't happen there. So there could be weeks that go by where I just don't get a chance to really do anything. So you know, this is I want to say sort of a side interest of mine, writing, and so I take it as it comes. If I don't get to write or put anything down on paper at all, or really generate any ideas for days, weeks, or more, I'm content. I feel like, you know, the time will come when I'll be able to devote more time to writing. But as of right now, it's whenever I can, whatever, you know, little bits of time that I can steal away. So
are you a computer guy with your writing? Do you put ideas aside, tuck them away? Do you have a writer's journal?
I don't. Unfortunately, my handwriting is totally atrocious. I can't really read it even sometimes after I write. So I'm a computer guy myself, and I just, even notes, ideas, bullet points for things, I do it on the computer there. But I did think of, a few years ago, I came up with the idea, actually I think I heard it from someone else there, I read it somewhere, of the small tape recorders with the very small little tape. And driving to work, I have a fairly short commute, about 15 minutes though, but I have brought that with me while I'm driving, and I sort of just occasionally have recorded some of the ideas that come to my head as far as passages in a story, dialogue, things, you know, ideas for different stories, and so I found that that removes the handwriting aspect of things and frees up sort of that time where I can actually, you know, spend a little bit of time there, where often, you know, driving is one of those weird times where sometimes good ideas do come to you, you know, so I thought take advantage of that and record them. And then after that, I listen back and write stuff down. Actually, that's what part of Daniel was. I did record some parts of Daniel on that tape and then went back, recorded them, and you know, had several paragraphs that I was able to edit, because usually you sometimes you word things in a way that you really like, and then 5 minutes later, since you didn't write it down, you say to yourself, I can't remember how I did it or anything. So I thought the tape recorder was a good way to try and get ideas that I have down on paper eventually. So.
All right, and I want to also know, as an author stalker, you were mentioning your editor and the publisher, and that world is so intriguing to those of us who don't.
Unfriendly, right? Unfriendly. Yeah.
So how does that work?
Well, first I knew absolutely. I started writing about 8 years ago or so, and it was a slow process of just getting some ideas down and then developing them to a point where I felt, okay, I feel comfortable enough with this story to send it out. And everything I was writing, I learned early on, it seemed what I was writing and able to write fairly well were picture books. Short stories here like this that seemed to just be perfect for picture books. And yeah, I really had to sort of educate myself on the whole process. I got a couple books, literally children's picture book publishing for dummies. I mean, those kind of books. And there's actually one entitled that there in The Idiot's Guide for Children's Book Publishing, and a whole bunch of other ones, which were very good. Read through those and really sort of got a good handle on how to go about doing it. And there's one particular book called The Children's Writers and Illustrators Market, which is like this big reference book. It's 500 pages or so of every publisher in the United States and in Canada. You know, where they are, what they publish, their specifications for submitting a manuscript, and you go through that book, and you know they've got. I mean, there are publishers all over the country that very odd little specific niches there, like publishers that publish only books from people who live in Florida, or stories about the Southwest, or about specific, you know, religious beliefs and stuff. So there's a whole variety of publishers that publish anything or very narrow topics. So you search for the ones of the stories that you seem to write and the ones that fit. And so I found, I want to say, maybe about 25 or 30 that seem to write, or seem to publish rather, the kinds of stories that I seem to be writing. And I just focused on them, and I sent out a mass mailing of a handful of stories, 25 or 30 at a time, to all these places. And of course, slowly but surely, all the rejections start coming in, and it was, you know, I mean, it can be a frustrating thing, but you take it as it comes, and the rejections come, and you just say, all right, well, the next one maybe won't be a rejection. So, but Daniel was rejected 50 times before it was finally accepted for publication, and you know, you hear stories of other authors who were rejected multiple times. So this one here, I kind of said, you know, I didn't expect, like, the first time I sent a story out, someone would say, you're the most brilliant writer ever in the history of anything. Right. You know, I didn't think that, so I was comfortable with the fact that I was going to be rejected for years and years and years. And so I sent, you know, as I said, many copies of these manuscripts out, and 50 rejections came, and eventually for Daniel and the Harmonica, one was an acceptance. So, but you know, you just sort of learn to just take the rejections, and they very often give you very little information. It's just sort of a typed postcard or letter that says, thank you, dear author, thank you for sending your manuscript. It's not what we're looking for, and good luck to you. And so there's very little when it comes to, oh, we like this, change this, but you just say, all right, I'll just keep working. So.
The illustrations in Daniel and the Harmonica are so exceptional. They're really beautiful.
They really are. Yep.
And I love how the story is based on a young boy, but also includes teenagers and includes the elderly and includes the community. Can you share with us the whole experience and process of illustrating this beautiful text?
Well, I had, I'll first say, this story was rejected initially by my publisher, Stemmer House is their name. They rejected it. This was actually the only personal letter I got. It was typed, but it was from my editor. His name is Dave, and he said that your story came across my desk. I loved it. I passed it to my boss, and he said we were going to move to publish your story. And then he said, unfortunately, from the time when we were going to start the process for publishing, and now, the publishing house decided to discontinue their line of children's books. So he said, you were almost there. He said, you know, don't give up on the story. There's still a chance you could publish it. You know, keep up the faith there. And then a year later, literally 1 year later exactly, I got a letter in the mail from Stemmer House, the publisher. And I looked at the mail and I said, I haven't sent anything to these people. I knew, there was nothing out there that I had sent because I knew they were no longer publishing children's books. And it was a letter from that editor, Dave, and he said, well, things have changed again, and now we are publishing children's books. Is your story, Daniel, still available? And so that was the start of the whole process. Initially rejected, but then accepted by the same people. And from that point on, it was about 1.5 years of editing. Just back, I met him, he lives in out by Keene, and this is the local publisher. They're out by Guilford. And so I was able to meet with him, and then we just corresponded through email. He would send me suggestions and changes. I would look at them, make them as best I could. Some things I wanted to keep and liked to keep, I would send it back. He would go back to me with more changes. And the whole idea was to get the story as short of a length as we could. It was a 2,600-word manuscript, which in picture books is very long. And so he said we got to get it cut down. And so we eventually did get it cut down to about 1,300 words. So a lot of it did disappear. So once we had the final manuscript done, and we all liked and agreed upon the way it went from the beginning, middle, and end, was when the illustrator came in. And I had absolutely no part in that. He said, I'm going to be interviewing and taking the portfolios and the artwork of different illustrators. He picked the illustrator. This is Dave, the editor. He said he's going to pick the illustrator. And he said, the best for me is just to wait till the very, very end when I see what the book looks like at the very end. I mean, I had no involvement with saying, oh, I don't like this particular person's drawing style, or this particular person's style. It was, I gave my input. I did say that I would like it to look as realistic as it could. I didn't want them looking too cartoony as far as the characters. I said, make it look realistic as you can. And he said, okay, I'll see what I can do. And then a year later, he said, here's the proofs of the, here are the proofs of the book, and the book's done. And that was it. And so there was very little of my part as far as input with the illustrations. But even though in my head I had an image of what the main character, Daniel, looked like and what the story would be like, the illustrator, her name is Ginger Nielsen. She's very talented. She's actually got, I want to say, about 16 or 18 books she's already done, either just illustrating or writing and illustrating. So she's very experienced, and she's got quite a few years of doing this. She made the book 100% beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I mean, I thought I had an idea of what it looked like. She took it and ran with it in a way that I just love. You're right, it's a beautiful looking book. Her illustrations are outstanding, so I couldn't be happier. So.
All right, could we ask if you would read some of Daniel and the Harmonica for us?
Absolutely.
I happen to have a copy right here.
Look at this, right?
Isn't
Excellent.
it beautiful?
Daniel and Harmonica. I do want to say, too, actually, because there's a website that goes with the book. It's the same title, DanielAndTheHarmonica.com, and it has additional sources that you can use as far as learning to play the harmonica. In the book, there's there's one page describing some small bits of how to play the harmonica, but on my page, on my website, I have links that go into more depth of how to play. So there's a lot of stuff that you can find on the website. But again, it's the title of the book, DanielAndTheHarmonica.com. So there's a lot of stuff you can find there, useful resources for playing. So, but I would love to read something.
That'd be great. You find your spot, and I'm so thrilled that we can find Daniel and the Harmonica at any bookstore.
Yeah.
Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble.
Exactly.
It's great for gift giving year-round.
Yes,
to purchase the book, support our author here, and buy the harmonica.
Separately go out, buy a harmonica. Like I said, you can buy one for just a few dollars, and a good quality one that would go great with the book. And any kid, young and old, would get a lot, I think, out of the story and then learning how to play.
So set us up here, Rob. Do we need to know anything before the selection? And I don't know if you can share the pictures or not as well.
I'll read and I'll show the pictures there.
Excellent.
So I guess I'll just give you the quick summary. To a certain point, Daniel, he receives a harmonica for his 8th birthday, and his grandfather says there's something magical about it. He says that when you receive a harmonica as a gift from someone who loves you very much, there's something magical about it, something amazing will happen. So Daniel's left feeling, what's this amazing thing that could happen? And so he practices and learns to play all the songs that are mentioned in the story here. And one day he goes to the park with his father, and he's sitting on the park bench by himself, playing the harmonica. And then I guess that's where I'll pick up right there, where a lot of the main action of the story happens. So Daniel sitting by himself playing. So they're right here. Daniel sat playing his harmonica softly and slowly while people passed by. As he began a second verse of "Oh, Susanna," he was surprised to hear the sound of another harmonica. A teenage boy with a silver harmonica just like Daniel's was walking toward him. He stopped, smiled, and encouraged Daniel to keep playing. They shared several verses together. Daniel was wide-eyed, watching the teenage boy slide incredibly fast up and down the harmonica. Soon an older gentleman in a brown suit, coat, and gray cap joined Daniel and the teenage boy. He stomped his feet and sang along with his harmonica playing. By this time, a small crowd was gathering. A young, pretty woman stepped forward and sat down next to Daniel. She pulled a harmonica from her green purse and played along to "My Darling Clementine." She created the most astonishing wah-wah sounds by fluttering her hands around her harmonica. So there sat Daniel with three strangers, now playing "When the Saints Go Marching In." Daniel tried to keep up with his very talented companions as they then began playing "America the Beautiful." The small crowd was growing quite large. Fathers held their babies high up on their shoulders while women locked arms and danced together. Groups of children joined hands too and jumped around, laughing in great big circles. Everyone was singing along. Mr. Crick from Crick's Ice Cream Parlor was in the crowd. He rushed back to his shop and returned moments later with dozens of chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla ice cream cones and gave them away to everyone in the park. Mrs. Franklin of Franklin's Toy Shop loved the performance as she watched from her store window. She merrily marched across Main Street with red, blue, and green balloons for all the children. I'll stop there. There's more action to come, but I guess you'll just have to go get the book from the library or bookstore there. But yeah, the story continues in the park, and he has a little more excitement there with the harmonica again as the centerpiece. So.
All right, you know my next question.
Yes.
Would you please share playing the harmonica?
I would love to, absolutely.
That'd be great.
I'll keep it short and simple there. So.
Oh, you can play as long as you'd like. We totally
Really?
enjoy it. Oh, it's wonderful.
You think so? Okay.
I do. And it was
Pass on
great
to my-
having you at Books for Breakfast. Now,
Oh,
have you
thank
been
you.
playing your harmonica when you go to your bookstores around the state?
Absolutely. Folks asked for that. I was at Barnes & Noble 2 weeks ago at a table. They had an author day where they had several people scattered about the store, authors, and I was sitting at a table and in the children's section, and I just started playing, and people came over, asked me about the book. We talked
Just like
about
the
it.
book.
Exactly. And some folks bought it, and some folks we just talked, and they had very encouraging words. But yeah, everywhere I've gone to discuss the book and share the book, I played. So I'll see what I can do. My first televised harmonica.
This is great.
So.
We're thrilled.
All right, so I'll play one of the songs from the for the book, one of the short ones there, "My Darling Clementine." So that's the one I'll play. First, I'll warm up a little. There's the warm-up. Okay, here we go.
Oh, it's great, Rob.
there you
It's
go.
great. All right,
So-
can we have one more?
Sure.
Author Stalkers are greedy.
No problem. I'll do
Can we
"Oh,
just-
Suzanne."
Okay,
"Oh,
that would be
Suzanne."
great.
That's another good one that I like to do.
All right. Oh, it's wonderful.
there you go.
It's wonderful. All right, I got to ask, do you play the tuba?
No, I don't. No, I
Okay.
don't. No, just the harmonica. A little guitar.
Okay,
Most
little
of the
guitar.
harmonica, yeah,
Any
exactly.
musical instruments in a future piece coming?
I don't know. I don't know. The Daniel and the harmonica. This idea, I think it's done. I don't know if I can add. None of my other story ideas seem to have instruments in them, so this is what I was able to do. But,
Are you able to give us a little idea into a piece that you're working on, or should we just be patient and
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you one.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
one story I'm working on right now, still sort of in a work in progress, is about most of the characters in the book, I guess. I have 3 kids, so I think of them as the main characters. And even though I wrote Daniel before I had my son, you know, I always thought when I have a son, the image of Daniel came to mind there. But But one I have is a story about a young girl and her father going out one night and watching a meteor shower together, and same sort of thing, having a little sort of magical experience with that being sort of the centerpiece of the plot. So that's still in a work in progress and still not quite totally finished yet. But that's one idea I've been working on.
We'll be looking so forward to that. You know, that science teacher extraordinaire with this other side.
I hope so.
That's great. Do you have future speaking engagements?
Actually, yeah, I will be at Barnes & Noble this February. I don't know the date exactly, but I do post those dates of where I'll be on my website. There's a little link where you can see author appearances on my website. But I will be at Barnes & Noble possibly in February, and then in April again they're having something called Author Fest, where they're going to have a big day at Barnes & Noble with, I want to say, maybe 15 or 20 different authors, some local, some coming from far away, all there to sign their books, read their portions of their books. So I've got 2 things coming up there. And again, the website has some of those dates specifically. So
that's great, Rob. I don't want to scare you, but you know I'll be there at both of those events.
Excellent. I have to say first that all the support I've gotten from my family, my friends, and especially everyone here in the district, in particular at Lurgio, you, Kate, Mary Pat, Georgia Broussard, all these folks that I work with have been very supportive. I can't say enough about how well this has been received and how much I appreciate all of the well wishes people have given me over this.
It's so exciting, you know, for being a classroom teacher and a reading specialist. It's such authenticity to have someone in our own backyard who shares what kids go through.
Yeah.
You brought your experiences. You write what you know.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we are encouraging kids to do. And so to have that authenticity and that backyard feel to it is so thrilling.
Thank you.
So we have nothing but applause and congratulations and kudos.
Well, thank you.
So feel free to buy a copy of Daniel and the Harmonica. Get your copy. Rob will sign it for you. Get a harmonica, and someday you can play as well as Rob. This is Kate Schoedinger signing off at the Ross A. Lurgio Middle School Library, where we've been so fortunate to already have Wendelin von Dranen, a wonderful experience with Rob Dubreuil, and we're looking forward to Cy Montgomery coming to us in Bedford in the spring. Late breaking news for the Author Stalker. This is awesome. Rob Dubreuil has been nominated for the Ladybug Award. This is huge news. The Ladybug Award is a picture book competition for the state, and our Rob has been nominated. So we'll be keeping you posted with the voting results come spring. Congratulations again to Rob. We can't wait to have the Author Stalker bring him this news, and look for Daniel and the Harmonica. And hopefully the winner of the Ladybug Award for 2011, New Hampshire, Bedford's Rob Dubreuil. Bye. See you with Cy Montgomery. Thanks.